Political parties are clearly the most critical structure on which constitutional governance resolve in Nigeria's current political dispensation. Members of the legislature and executive that make and implement laws hold their position and are able to discharge their functions by virtues of being members of political parties. The extant constitution has no place for independent candidature. It therefore stands to reason that the organizational cohesiveness, administrative efficiency, ideological clarity, and leadership acumen of political party structures will impact significantly on the efficacy and productivity of governance. Much of the failings in the delivery of democracy dividends to the people by both the People's Democratic Party (PDP) and the All Progressive Congress (APC) at the center over the last 2 decades can be attributed to a weak institutionalization of these dominant parties. To its credit, the PDP held relatively effective sway over the polity and maintained a reasonable degree of stability for much of its 16 years of control at the center. Yet, its performance was grossly disappointing relative to the resources available to it, especially during the Dr. Goodluck Jonathan administration. The PDP's expressed desire to be in power for at least 6 decades was aborted, among others, by steadily increasing internal fractionness, leadership arrogance, ideological barrenness, utter disregard for its internal rules, and the capture of the party by the government that was supposed to be its offspring. Given the dismissal state in which the APC inherited the country from the preceding PDP administration, it has recorded a number of achievements in terms of accelerated infrastructure renewal and modernization, as well as the continuing diversification of the economy in the direction of reduced dependency and enhanced self-reliance. Yet the APC remains its own greatest enemy as the perennial and protracted crisis within its ranks continue to impede its capacity to perform optimally. From all indications, the APC, which has been in power for the last 6 years, has learned little or nothing from the experience of the PDP. Some exceedingly ambitious members of the party who are lucky to hold key positions, particularly as state governors, see the party simply as a vehicle for the pursuit and realization of personal ambitions. Forging an ideological direction for the country or implementing a progressive programmatic agenda for the government is furthest from their minds. Thus, the gap continues to widen between the great expectations roused among Nigerians by the APC in 2015 and the ever-increasing frustrations of the large number of citizens whose hope for the more purposeful and productive governance remain dashed. The sordid revelations at the Niger Delta Development Commission (NDDC) and the National Social Insurance Trust Fund, for example, indicate that corruption is alive, well and thriving. Economic recovery and sustainable growth could, despite unforeseen occurrences like the coronavirus pandemic and #EndSARS protests, be more vigorous with better managerial competence. Much more tragically, an insecurity situation across the country has worsened with the routine slaughtering of Nigerians becoming the norm in the face of the inexplicable paralysis of the security architecture. With their 2023 political ambitions squarely in focus rather than enabling the APC to deliver on its mandate to the people, these ambitious elements successfully manipulated the presidency and engineered the dissolution of the Comrade Adams Oshomole-led National Working Committee of the party that had been striving against great odds to resolve internal party discipline, strengthen internal democracy, and enhance its institutional autonomy. A few governors plotted the patently unconstitutional dissolution of the 21-member National Working Committee, in which only 3 members had grievances against the leadership. It was a coup. Was Oshomole's leadership without flaws? Certainly not, but it was a marked improvement from the Chief John Odige Oyegu era that simply handed over the party to the control of governors empowered by their custody of state resources. Emboldened by their pushed against Oshomole's National Working Committee, these elements, with about 5 or 6 governors at their vanguard, decided to push through a thorough and complete takeover of the APC at the party's National Executive Committee NEC meeting this week, or what could have informed the resolution to arbitrarily dissolve all party executive council at polling unit, ward, local government, state and zonal levels, while also asking old members to re-register alongside the registration of new members into the party. The recruitment and re-registration of new members is a routine exercise in any serious political party and need not to be accompanied by distracting histrionic and dramatics. It will be recalled that at the height of its hubris under the Obasanjo presidency, the PDP deregistered all its members and asked anyone willing to be member to register afresh. This was one of the party's misstep on its way to its 2015 electoral Waterloo. Luckily, the Vice President, Professor Yemi Osinbajo's wise counsel prevailed and the APC NEC decided to reconstitute the dissolved Executive Council at all levels into caretaker committees to steer the affairs of the party until the next inter-party congress and convention. Even then, has the legitimate 4-year tenure of these dissolved Executive Council be arbitrarily truncated in conformity with the party's constitution? Can an organization infringe the rights of its members in blatant violation of its own rules and yet also ban such members from seeking judicial redress? Interesting times indeed lie ahead of the APC. For its lethargy and incompetence in carrying out its assignment of resolving intra-party crises and conducting party congresses and convention to elect new party executives within 6 months, the Yobe State Governor Mai Mala Buni led caretaker and extraordinary convention planning committee has been rewarded with tenure extension for another 6 months. Governor Buni will thus continue to be distracted from his primary assignment of governing his state. It is astonishing that even as the country's security and economic conditions have worsened considerably since 2015, the ambitious governors are more concerned about seizing control of the APC structure to actualize their future ambition than helping the President Muhammadu Buhari administration to more effectively tackle the multi-pronged challenges threatening the country's very existence. Let us even imagine that the ambitious governors achieve their aim and gain control of the party structure to realize their personal aspiration. Do they think that the APC can mount any credible and effective campaign to retain power in 2023 if there are no significant improvements on its current performance? And how many of these governors have demonstrated at the level of their state any quality of governance that indicates that they can be transformational, developmental leaders at the national level? While some are exceedingly power-drunk and overbearing, some are permanently distracted and perennially absent from their state for flimsy and inexcusable reasons, while others have proven to be grossly incompetent in securing lives and property within their jurisdictions, or achieving harmony and cohesiveness amongst components of their complex, plural societies. Blinded and thoroughly deceived by the seemingly invisible powers they wield today, the mastermind feverishly trying to hijack the APC for personal ends forget that the party's empathic victory in 2015 had become embarrassingly fragile and feeble at the 2019 poll. If the APC continues along its present trajectory, inflicting deadly body wounds on itself, the electoral portents for the party come 2023 are ominous indeed, especially as the steadily increasing application of technology makes election more and more difficult to manipulate. Interestingly, in the address to the NEC meeting, President Muhammadu Buhari preached the gospel of harmony, party discipline, and adherence to the originating protocols that informed the emergence of the APC. But the presidency's role in the entire affair is baffling. Is Buhari still the leader of the whole of the APC as we know it, or has he decided to lend the weight of his office to the attempt by a clique to capture the party and refashion it in his own image? The answer to that question will be critical to the future fate of the APC. Buhari seemed to measure what he considered to be the success of the caretaker committee by the number of returnees of newly decamped members from other parties to the APC. He is gravely mistaken. A cardinal feature of Nigeria's vagrant political culture is that politicians tend to flock to the party in control of the honey pot at the center. Should the APC give the PDP victory at the center in 2023? The alacrity with which many of today's avowed Buharists and APC diehards will scamper onto the new bandwagon at the center will be outstanding. Wow. APC versus PDP, Nigerians demand and we desire and we want good governance. We are not really in support of APC or PDP. Guys, let's hear your own take down below in the comment section. We really appreciate you. Thank you for staying tuned. Please don't forget to like, share, and to subscribe. Till I come your way again with more updates. Bye for now and God bless.